I've been buying rings like I'm Kobe.
I be in and out of arenas like I'm Scottie Pippen.
Left my elbow in the pot, a la Vince Carter.
Bitch, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym?
James Harden with the range on me, nigga, way back.
Coach, they won't knock me off my pivot. Get it.
Niggas underrate me like Jalen Brunson, but yo, I'm leaving with something.
Been flowing stupid since Vince Carter was on some through the legs arm and a hoop shit. Fresh Prince jacket, boy, I cook them to the inside out.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, now you do.
Okay. Yes, sir. We are back. Round of applause for yourselves. This is your guy, Marcellus Ease. And as usual, we're going to be cooking up with the topics for today. And it's going to be a good one, as we're going to find out what is the true business model behind a lot of these sports leagues and this marriage to gambling. It's going to surprise a lot of you when you find out the data collecting is linked to the policing of the overall industry. Also, Jason Tatum did a sit down where he finally revealed his true feelings on kind of being left out during the Olympic trials back in 2024. A lot of these same issues are still playing out with Steve Kerr and Jonathan Kuminga today. The marketing machine around the NBA is a beast, and we're going to take a deep dive of how that creates a generational gap among NBA fans as the Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant debate sparks up once again. And this topic in particular is always showing a stark difference between reality and what was marketed. Finally, we're going to hear from King James and Tyrese Haliburton themselves as they touched on the 65-game rule affecting players' salaries. With the NBA as well as their players entering into a new bargaining agreement, a lot of the stars are now starting to wake up on the realities where the owners have slowly crafted out player movement, as well as too many excuses of why not to pay stars, even though they just newly signed a multi-billion-dollar television deal. So with the NBA's gambling to marriage, we've seen them run into quite a few stumbling blocks with Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, Jonte Porter, etc. And we've dived into the details extensively in my series When the Money's Worth the Headache. I'll link in the description below. But right here, we're going to get a sneak peek behind the curtain of what's the real business model behind all the marketing we can't escape from, and also how the ultimate fan experience, like throwing out the first pitch, meeting some of the legendary players that used to play on some of these franchises, and even participating in some of the halftime festivities like taking a half-court shot or even throwing out the first pitch. But that ultimate fan experience is tied into something quite addictive. And right here in this segment, we're going to hear from a columnist from the Washington Post, Danny Font, to a lot of the nuances that are taking place with this whole, what should I say, unhappy but yet wealthy marriage to gambling. They're like that nasty couple that stays together because the finances just work. But you guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
There is somewhat of a have it both ways argument that you hear from advocates for legalization, whether in the leagues or at the sports books, where it's like they catch someone doing this and they say, you know, look at how good we are at catching fixing now. Or time passes without a scandal and they say all of that concern was overblown, there hasn't been a problem. So that, you know, I find that a little unconvincing, but I think it would be an interesting study. The problem with that sort of study is, I guess it'd be interesting to know, are we catching more people? The real question would be, is there more corruption than there was before? Things that people who work in sports are saying, not just, you know, me or outsiders who are trying to interpret it. A big problem with this promise that the leagues will be able to catch bad behavior is they're entangled with the companies that are tasked with, blowing the whistle. Like, they have ownership stakes in those companies. They also, the bigger business for those companies, these integrity monitors, isn't integrity monitoring. It's providing the data that makes online betting possible, the real-time data on statistics and what have you that allows all this in-game betting. So it's a major conflict of interest that would they expose, we're talking about Jonte Porter or even guys like Terry Rozier in the NBA last year, not household names by and large. As an NBA agent put it to me, if they caught an all-star, like someone who people really care about, that would kill the league. So is it really in their interest to expose that? And we're counting on them to, it's sort of a self-policing job with the leagues.
That positioning they have with the self-policing is interesting, because even in the Chauncey Billups indictment, which there were actually two different charges when the feds held that initial press conference, but in that second indictment, LeBron James and Anthony Davis's names were mentioned. Matter of fact, their names weren't directly put in the paperwork, but they made reference to them. The two star players being out for the Lakers would change the outcome of the game. That's the way they worded it. But when the story originally broke, the media never tied in LeBron James and Anthony Davis's name to that reporting. Funny thing, the energy wasn't the same when the media sort of figured out, okay, they're talking about when Chauncey Billups benched Damian Lillard on that paperwork. Again, they didn't mention Dame directly, but the way they worded it, Chauncey Billups benched a certain player in a certain season so they can get a high draft pick. They scoped that out real quick, but yet avoided talking about the Anthony Davis and LeBron James part, and that's with LeBron James as his boy, Damian Jones. And another interesting point that Danny just brought up is how the leagues own certain percentages of the data companies that provide the information to the gambling companies to even make this all possible. It's almost like the leagues being in partnership with the gambling companies, it allows them to double dip. They now have a way of providing the data that allows the whole ecosystem to exist, and they have control of all the teams' licensing that would allow the gambling companies to even offer fans to bet on certain teams. Very big business. Most of these leagues today, they're not only the plug, they're the middleman and the distribution at the same time.
And we're counting on them to, it's sort of a self-policing job with the leagues. Like it's up to them to, tell law enforcement or whoever that this is happening. So it's a major conflict of interest.
You could take a look at Major League Baseball and the way they handled the situation with Ohtani from the Los Angeles Dodgers. MLB is making a lot of money off of him, especially he has that international appeal. And it's going to leave many of us to wonder that if a superstar ends up getting caught up in any of these leagues, how well are they going to report this? But continuing on, Danny Font also gave great insight to how the legalized side of gambling has a different ability of leaving the VIP customers, the people that tend to be the high rollers when it comes to gambling. They actually have an edge on keeping those people hooked by providing the ultimate fan experience. This shit gets tricky.
Every professional sports team now, at least from the major sports, has one or several official sponsors. And those deals can be worth millions of dollars. You'd think it's a big part of their business. And I always assumed that was just kind of a general advertising motivation, hey, have our brand on their court or in the bleachers or what have you, like get the name out and give some legitimacy to these companies. As people inside the betting industry explained to me, one of the main reasons for those partnerships is because it gives sportsbooks access to all these sorts of ways that they can pamper what they call their VIP customers. People losing tens of thousands of dollars a week, and sometimes much, much more than that, are really the backbone of the money that these leagues are making. The biggest, if you think about it, like, how much do I have to lose, or how much do I have to bet, $20 a game to come close to what they're making off a VIP? So I mentioned they want access to these teams. The reason why is VIPs are throwing out the first pitch at Major League Baseball games, letting their kids take batting practice on a big league field, playing pickup on an NBA court, giving the starting command at a NASCAR race. Like the list goes on. It's the most dreamlike experiences for a sports fan possible. And so much of this business is about not only finding those people, but keeping them happy and keeping them loyal to a specific company.
Woo, that's the ultimate. We gonna pip out your fandom. Oh man, you gotta wonder if anybody within those organizations, clearly knowing that this person might have a gambling problem, would they even care to say anything?
Hundreds of people at FanDuel and DraftKings, their sole job is catering to those VIP customers. And I devoted a whole chapter of it to my book just because it's kind of irresistible stuff of like all of the perks and all of the experiences they get, and also the dilemmas that it puts these hosts when one of those VIPs shows signs of a problem, because it's really, intimidating to cut off one of your most profitable customers. And people told me like there's sort of an unspoken rule that unless they're saying something really explicitly, I have a problem or I need help, it's tempting to look the other way because you don't want them going to your competitor, and you just don't want to lose that business.
Sounds like some of the gambling companies have become the new fentanyl distributors. They could see you hooked. They know that shit's about to fuck up your life or even end your life. And the amount of money being made, they just gotta overlook it. This shit get crazy. Things are gonna be more overt nowadays when you see a lot of these street tactics being applied by mega national and international corporations. Some of you listening may work a corporate job, and there's a very thin line between some of the tactics that are done on the street level versus behind the scenes in the upper echelons of those boardrooms.
2 or 3% of customers account for 60 or 70% of sportsbook revenue, if you can believe that. Because sort of an assumption and a defense of that whole arrangement, it sounds like you're egging on people to keep betting and betting at staggering rates. And the industry's promise is, don't worry, these people can afford it. They're ultra wealthy. They're not gonna, it's not gonna affect their life if $100,000 or something goes missing. In reality, they are not vetting their customers even remotely to have any confidence that they can afford to be losing at that rate. And there's a number of examples I collected of that. One was a guy in Connecticut who lost $100,000 with FanDuel in a year. And he, told me he was getting these amazing seats, all these gifts. As he put it, the betting and the rush of betting, he was hooked on that. He was also just hooked on the VIP experience. And it made it so much harder to get help because he knew he'd lose out on that. And I heard that, and I was thinking about all these companies that had promised me that, don't worry, we check that people can afford to lose all this money. So I said, what was your job when you lost $100,000 at FanDuel? And he said he was a server at the Cheesecake Factory making $65,000 a year.
Damn, man, he was losing $100,000 easily. My guy was spending his inheritance money or life insurance or something. These private equity companies that are coming into the league just through the NBA ownership side, they're really there to pimp out that once organic fandom.
Not remotely someone who could afford to be losing even close to that. And it's kind of a shame. You might say, is it really the sportsbook's problem to check that someone can afford to be betting what they're betting? In a lot of the world, there is an expectation that there's some responsibility if people are betting at that, jaw-dropping rate. And for now, at least in the US, governments aren't saying they have to do that, but the sportsbooks seem to acknowledge that would be the responsible thing to do. They're just not actually executing on that. And I've seen examples of things that the offshore business does with people they know have problems, and it's just abhorrent. So not giving them a pass by any means. The two things I'd say to that are, one, there's definitely a category of customer who feels comfortable betting with a licensed, regulated, legitimate business that is not going to go offshore. And you could say, well, if you have a problem, you'll go wherever you have to get down, to place a bet. I'm talking about people who haven't yet developed a problem and are getting sucked into gambling because they feel comfortable with, something they can get on the App Store and bet with using money from Venmo or whatever. The other thing is, offshore sportsbooks can give you, deposit matches and other perks. They're not helping you they're not enabling you to throw out the first pitch at a ball game or, meet retired superstars from your favorite team. Like all of those perks that I was describing that come with relationships with teams is something only the legal business by and large has access to. So I think that's worth acknowledging.
And that's a brand new dynamic right there. That is a clever way that they sort of kind of slithered and took over the market share of the offshore bookies, man. Woo! This was done very, very, very slick. Not only they're going to pimp out your wallet, they're going to pimp out your fandom at the same time. This is diabolical. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, it looks like the legal side of gambling has actually found a way to make it even more addictive in ways only those offshore accounts could even imagine. This is where many of the sports leagues are going to be in a very delicate balancing act, because when other media outlets years from now start doing mini documentaries on people being addicted, they're going to have video footage and photos of them just being there playing baseball in their favorite team's field, or just throwing out the first pitch, being in the VIP box, or just meeting players or former Hall of Famers on the team. All this stuff is going to be documented. And in a way, the teams are going to be positioned front and center as contributing to this addiction. But again, the money for these sports leagues might be worth the headache. So as the NBA as a whole, the league is going through a stylistic transition where they're setting up the game for an international appeal, while at the same time is going to satisfy streaming. We slowly started to see the game evolve in a way where it's getting a little bit too repetitive, and certain player archetypes have been forced to fit into a box. And that right there has taken away a lot of the beauty of the game. With the rise of analytics and just multiple industries, not just the NBA, are doing the data crunching on what has already worked and how can it be maximized. But when it comes to the NBA, it is an entertainment product, and it does touch through many cultures and different sets of people. Now, one coach as of late, Steve Kerr, even though he's well accomplished, the style he has his team playing does need an update, as the league right now is transitioning past the small ball era. And in this segment, we're going to hear from Jason Tatum as he finally responds on how he truly felt about not being played on the Olympic team. And in part 2 of this segment, we're going to correlate it to the Jonathan Kuminga situation, as Steve Kerr basically has him in the doghouse, even though it's very apparent that he does have a set of skills that can truly help his team. Steve Kerr has a generational talent in Stephen Curry. It leaves all of us to wonder, how will his coaching style be when Stephen Curry's no longer there? Keep in mind, he was one of the architects who orchestrated that team down in Phoenix with Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni. So, can he truly adapt as the league is ever changing? Jason Tatum right here gives great insight to how he truly felt after winning not only the NBA Finals, but also having a hell of a season, first team All-NBA, the only American that made that first All-Team NBA, and also him earning the highest contract ever signed by an NBA player at the time. Steve Kerr in those Olympics was juggling a lot of politics, with Joel Embiid kind of having to start even though he was injured, and also LeBron James, even though him being listed as a forward, he played in the guard position. I gotta shoot Steve Kerr some bail on that. Ryan Clark sat down with Jason Tatum, and I love the way he framed the question before he asked Tatum about what happened in the Olympics. Even though Ryan Clark sometimes he does a little bit too much pandering, he does have a great skill set in wheeling the audience in with his questioning. It's the way he crafted and sort of framed Jason Tatum in a certain position before he got his answer. But you guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
I've never been one of the best at anything in the world, right? And so, in football, it was always easy for me to find my spot. And like every good thing that happened was, in Louisiana, we call it lagniappe, what means extra. It was extra for me. Like I made the Pro Bowl. I was like, damn, people voted for me. It was something on top of that. Like I was voted captain. I was like, damn, like my teammates respect me in this way. I was undrafted. I was cut. So it was just all this work. And if something didn't go my way, it never affected me because I was like, so much hasn't gone my way, right? I was like, I get this. Like I understand what this is. Your life hasn't been like that. Like you said, throughout high school, always rated as a top 3 player, right? You were an early lottery pick. And then, I watched a little bit of this through the through the Olympics show and then starting 5 with Haliburton. The experience of being on an Olympic team, and truly this year's Olympic team, that the three biggest stars of of this generation were on that team. And Steve Kerr says to you guys before you even go, hey man, playing time is going to be difficult, right? We're going to have to figure it out. On those days you don't play as much as you want to, or throughout the whole experience, what did you take from that as a lesson moving forward?
To be honest, that was tough because this is my second time in the Olympics, and we went in 2020, 2021, we was in Tokyo, and my experience was totally different. Like, I was the second leading scorer behind KD, and we beat France. We ended up winning a gold medal. In 2024, I was first team All-NBA, came off a championship. I was on the cover of 2K. Like, I was as high as, like, I was on top of the world. I just signed the largest contract in NBA history. So I was riding this cloud, and then I get to the Olympics and it didn't go, how I wanted it. We still won, and, I built some relationships and I gained some great memories from it. But the toughest part was, like, everybody was like, yo, like, I can't wait till you play the Warriors. I know you're gonna, like, try to kill them, like, when you see Steve Kerr again. And it was like, yeah, but how am I feeling right now? Like, was going to happen in the future. Like, so I felt like people didn't take into account, like, how I was, like, trying to process that in real time, because it was, I couldn't process it. I couldn't understand. I'm like, being first team All-NBA it's me and four of the guys in the world. And at that time, the four of the guys was all European. So it was like I was the only American. And then you get to the Olympics and it's like, I didn't play in two of the games. It was hard to process. And that was the toughest part. Like, everybody worried about, can't wait till you play Steve Kerr and the Warriors. Like, no, like, you got to worry about how I'm feeling right now. Like, I'm trying to, like, that was the toughest part.
Hey, Steve Kerr, you building up quite a resume out there. You had your man Stephen Curry, and you sort of had to juggle just running the system around him and also pleasing not only the egos of certain players that wanted minutes like Joel Embiid and LeBron, but also their sponsors. Nike has a very large say-so when it comes to the Olympics because they do spend the most money as a sponsor. It's actually written down within the policy that they do have a lot of say-so on certain things. And we also got to wonder, how did Jaylen Brown feel? Because he signed for one of the largest contracts, I believe, the year before. And he won Eastern Conference Finals MVP as well as the NBA Finals MVP. And he wasn't even considered. But again, the player archetype of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, it doesn't necessarily mesh with the way Steve Kerr and his style of coaching. Jonathan Kuminga, you can make the argument, if he improves on his decision making and his shooting ability at his most peak level, he could hope to max out as the same player archetype as Tatum or Jaylen Brown.
You got to worry about how I'm feeling right now. Like, I'm trying to, like, that was the toughest part.
Bruh, and to that point, because everybody knew it, that did not DNPs of an all-NBA player, you can't go sit down with Steve Kerr and ask him, bruh, put me on the court, Cole.
I always bring it back, like, my mom did such a good job of raising me that, like, I always, like, keep it cool. I'm not gonna rock the boat. I'm always gonna be a professional. I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna do, because we here to win a gold medal, right? If we come up short, then all this shit was for nothing. We wasted our summer. So, I still was able to, like, keep that, even though I could disagree, or me and the coach not seeing eye to eye, or, I'm keeping my distance. I still had the wherewithal of, like, let's just, when I get in, I'm gonna do what I can with the time that, they give me, and, we still gonna find a way to win.
That right there might have been a hard learning lesson for Tatum because there is a lot of politics with guys even accepting those invites. Once again, Joel Embiid, he looks like he put a stipulation in order for him to be there. Allegedly, he was injured, but yet he still started. The same thing would apply for LeBron James. Even though he was listed as a forward, he was playing the whole game at the guard spot. And that's with Stephen Curry and Devin Booker on the floor. Anthony Davis at the time was perhaps Team USA's best big man, especially playing in that Euro style, and he came off the bench. So LeBron being listed in the starting lineup as a forward, but yet playing at the guard, it actually made that forward position very crowded. They had to find minutes for Bam Adebayo, Jason Tatum, and Anthony Davis. And out of those 3 players I just named, only 2 of those guys can actually provide Team USA for the rim protection that they needed.
I have this conversation with my wife oftentimes because we're in a place where society is so ugly.
Yeah.
And people are so selfish. And she asked me, she's like, did we do our children a disservice by telling them to be polite and telling them to be mannerable, telling them to be compassionate and consider others, to be unselfish? Because you live in this world where people are like that. You know, the term, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Like, it's a very real thing.
It is.
Right? Where people go and complain and say, I want this and I want that, and they are rewarded for that. And then the person who's showing up every day, doing the right things, but saying to themselves, I don't want to rock the boat, they never get out of the situation because people aren't even paying attention to them. They're like, oh, they are good with what's happening. And so I can see you being all of those things, and part of all of those accomplishments, first team All-NBA, is also the way you carry yourself as well, by being a leader. And so the difficulty being like, yeah, man, like I really want to play, but like the 3 dudes getting all the minutes could be Hall of Famers right now.
Ryan Clark, in a way, very subtly is saying that they kind of knew your personality type, that you wouldn't rock the boat, and they sort of leveraged that in a way.
You know,
I'm not saying be disrespectful, RC.
No,
just
but
lean up and be like, Coach.
Yeah, but it's tough though
Coach,
when you.
Coach, I'm ready, Coach.
It's hard though when you're raised. Like I get what he's saying. Like he was raised to not be that. We've all watched him hoop. We understand that, but it's also like the difficulty for him is, do you become that guy on this stage? This is not Boston Celtics, where this is the team that's paying him the max contract, and he gets to go say, I volunteered my time along with these folks to go do this for one reason and one reason only.
So
that's
even
hard.
more, on top of all of that, is why he should have been freaking playing.
Because he volunteered
on top of he's nice, but he should have still been playing.
6 men on the court. I just walked out there. I just walked out there, Coach.
So you had no.
See that attitude that Channing Crowder right there displayed? Jason Tatum probably went through a hard learning lesson of just making sure that the politics is right, with them just respecting his time. And it's a very delicate balance, as the players sometimes don't want to be perceived as hard to work with. And this is where I land on Jonathan Kuminga, because right now he's going through the same struggle with Steve Kerr, and also avoiding that label just being hard to work with. He got a lot of backing from his teammates, Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler, on his professionalism. Even Draymond Green, to a degree, had to acknowledge that he might not be as professional if he was in his circumstance. But again, Steve Kerr's coaching style is being asked to come up to the podium. We got to reevaluate this. Now that good old Jimmy boy is out with that ACL injury, Draymond Green is going through a couple of back issues. You got to wonder if Steve Kerr could find a way to use Kuminga, especially the guy's in a contract year, so you know he wants to perform. Just like Jason Tatum, everyone can see that he has the ability to be useful even if he's not scoring. The athleticism that he has could be used on the defensive end. But as the trade deadline approaches and Kuminga's about to hit unrestricted free agency at the end of the season, why hasn't Steve Kerr and the Warriors put him in a position where he could either show his value so they could trade him away, or they could see if he's going to be part of their future? Former NBA players Theo Penson, Raymond Felton, and their crew spoke on it. And there's a growing frustration among the players. This is a complete different media landscape. There will be players coming out of the woodworks and providing a lot of backup on the PR side of things. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
I'll let it go. I'll let it go down. Leave a voicemail. Fuck you. Don't ever call. I'm blocking you right now. Don't call me again.
It's a privilege. I'm giving you the other side. I'm
gonna give you this side. Fuck you.
That's the bad side, Theo.
It's not the bad side. Fuck you.
That's not the professional side. You're a
I'm
professional.
gonna be professional
It's
and
a
go somewhere else.
It's a privilege to be in the NBA. You're still getting paid to do a job.
Give me my
Yes,
bread.
y'all ain't want to fuck with me, but guess what? If I'm, this is me.
Yeah.
If I'm Jonathan Kuminga, I'm like, oh, y'all gonna let me rock out? You know what? Now I'm gonna show the world why
I've done that
you look
before.
crazy
That's
and
why
not playing me.
That is why we speak of Jonathan Kuminga at this light right now, because we've seen this before. You are fucking with this man.
Yeah, he is.
You are messing with this man.
I can't
You
even say
messed up
nothing.
his. You literally messed up his trade stock. You messed up his reputation and everything. And now you want me to come save the day for your ass? Fuck you, dog.
Damn, Theo. Damn, Theo. Tell him how you feel. See, once again, a lot of these guys, they're talking from personal experience. They've seen all this shit before. This is a complete different media landscape. A lot of these coaches no longer have the protection of just media members who were never really part of the game to begin with. So the players could easily spot the bullshit. And Steve Kerr has been on some bullshit for quite some time now. We've seen 2 lottery picks not necessarily work out, and the Jason Tatum Olympics situation is only the icing on the cake.
He has every right to say that.
You
to
have
feel that
every
way.
right to say that. I
feel that
still
way.
demand a trade. I don't want to be here. I don't like you. You don't like me. Don't act like you like me now. Do not act like you like me now.
If I had an interview, if I'm Jonathan Kuminga. Go ahead.
If I'm Jonathan Kuminga and I had an interview and they say, how do you feel about this new situation? How you feel about now, I'm a reporter. How you feel about this new situation? How you feel about now you're going to get significant minutes to play for this team?
Well, it's unfortunate.
My answer is
Go ahead.
Jimmy is my OG. I'm Jonathan Kuminga. Jimmy is my OG. I hate that he got hurt. This hurts the team. I'm here to do my job. I'm here to be professional. I'm here to help this team as long as I'm here. Whatever they need me to do.
And that only helps Jonathan Kuminga. But in the back end, he gonna be like, yo, get me the fuck out of here. I ain't fucking with y'all.
But
I'm gonna tell the
and I'm gonna say that, but
the
I'm
media
also
this.
but I'm also gonna let this be
do
known
this.
too that I could have done this all year. I could have helped this team all year.
Okay.
Okay, Felton, we see you. You're on your Nas shit right now. Okay. Ether them motherfuckers, huh?
So, do I feel a way? Yes. 100%. I feel like young fella should get his feelings off. Like, I feel a way. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to do whatever I got to do for my teammates. If they need me to go to war with them in this situation, I'm ready to go to war. But let's be honest here. They didn't want me. They don't want me. So I'm only here for my guys. I'm just like that, Charlie. I'm here for my guys.
You flat
because you don't want to feel, you don't want your teammates, or you don't want another team that you're going to in the future, your teammates or that organization to feel like you ain't gonna be there for your guys. You ain't gonna be there for your teammates, because initially that's who you rocking with. That's who you're on the court going to war with. Now, as far as Steve Kerr and the front office, Mike Dunleavy, whoever else is over there, y'all don't fuck with me. Y'all showed that.
There will be no issue if you continue to play Kuminga through this whole time. Even if we knew Steve Kerr didn't like him, even if he got spot minutes, be like, all right, we need you more now. That's cool. But you're giving him DNPs when guys aren't even playing.
Yeah, it's fair. But you know how the league works. They're not gonna fuck with him.
Listen,
Steve Kerr's gonna stick to that.
this would be the most.
You would think that, but not with those Chase Center tickets. They're not gonna put no shitty product out there on the floor with Stephen Curry. Make no mistake about that.
Listen,
Steve Kerr's gonna stick to that.
This would be the most embarrassing, fucked up thing the Warriors could ever do, and I don't know if people even want to fuck with them if they do him like this.
Hey, Kevin Durant sent the first warning signal about the Warriors when he basically said that he's not going to rejoin when they try to pull that trigger on him last season. There's a lot of secrets in that building about the true feelings of that dynasty. Look at the way Klay Thompson left.
If you go back to trying to play him and act like you like him now, would be the most coward bullshit I've ever seen in my life.
Well, he already said it. He said he's ready.
That is crazy to me.
Am I lying? We just saw the interview. He said, they say, is he ready? Is he ready to play now? He said, yes, he's ready. So he wasn't ready before?
He wasn't ready, bro. That shit had
Talk to me. He ain't had no injuries.
It's fucking
He
the
had
league,
no injuries.
Bro. It's the league. You know the politics of the league. The
Charlie, how
bullshit
you
that
can sit
comes
up there with how can Steve Kerr sit up there with a straight face like that
bro.
and just be like, yes, he's ready now?
Come on, fellas. We seen Steve Kerr sit there with a straight face in the 2019 finals talking about KD just has a calf injury. None of this shit is new. Matter of fact, in that same 2019 finals, going up against Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors, he was seen at a dinner with Greg Popovich. And when they asked him about it, he made it seem like they were just catching up. So Steve Kerr, like any other NBA personnel, they're very PR savvy.
So Jimmy is going down like you don't know how much time he's going to miss. Is Kuminga going to be that guy? Is Kuminga ready now? Yes, he's ready. What? I'm Kuminga. I'm looking at the interview like, is he serious right now? Y'all just told me that I wasn't going to play no more.
Yes.
Y'all just told me I wasn't going to play
This is a
anymore.
difficult situation. It doesn't work for both sides.
Charlie, they said he wasn't going to play anymore.
That's fair.
No, he's fucked up. He doesn't deserve to put this nigga back on the court after you blatantly have shown I don't fuck with you. It does not matter. It does not work for our team. We can't play him at the same time. And I want you to come save the day. No, because at the end of the day, you're going to use him to blackball him. If he goes out there and play bad, oh, this is why we didn't play him. If he plays well, he turned the corner because he's playing the right way. No, this nigga could have played like that the whole fucking time. We've seen it. It's not like we have not seen him play well. He's played for one team his whole career.
Now, Kuminga's decision-making is still questionable, and sometimes just his finishing around the rim may not really be where Steve Kerr wants it to be. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of talent that's there, and if Steve Kerr is a great coach that they say that he is, he should be able to find somewhere where Kuminga's talents could be better utilized.
We know how the league works. Kerr's not gonna fuck with him. He's not gonna put his
Let him go.
Ego aside. This is a fucking ego fucking business. They're gonna let him go, but now it might have expedited on this whole letting him go shit. Because if he lets him play and he does well, and let's say Golden State, Steve Kerr looks crazy.
He already look crazy.
So instead of him looking crazy, he has to stick with that same narrative. Well, I'm not gonna play him. Regardless of what we got, I'm not gonna play him.
My point exactly. Him doing that fucking interview yesterday and saying, yeah, we gotta look at it now. Now you gotta look at it?
Nah, that's bullshit, bro. He's just saying that.
So you believe he's not gonna play still?
I think he's not gonna play him.
I don't think you can.
You can't.
You cannot put Jonathan Kuminga on that basketball court.
Draymond is out and Jimmy is out, and you still don't play him? You still can't play him?
Oh, he gonna play him. When Stephen Curry starts looking crazy out there because he's all by himself, and all those fake Warrior fans that are right down there in San Francisco that really come out of Silicon Valley paying those crazy prices, people are going to start looking and reevaluating things. This ain't the days of the diehard Oakland fans who really created that atmosphere around the team.
Didn't do it before.
He didn't do it before.
When they were just out for rest and shit,
yeah,
he still didn't play him. Don't play me now.
So don't play him.
Do not fucking play me now to try to get my confidence back. My confidence is I want to beat your ass.
No, my confidence.
That's my confidence.
My confidence
I am confident that I don't fucking like you.
My confidence is I want to go to another team.
I am very confident I don't want to be here and I don't like you.
But they can go up to him and say
what?
Yeah, you're playing tonight.
I mean,
what you gonna do? You don't have to play.
And I'm gonna go up to them. My hamstring tight.
That's tough. That's tough.
You want to fuck with me? I'm going to fuck with you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Damn, in a contract year? I don't know about that. I do not know about that. Kuminga is definitely in his golden years to just earn the most money that he can because the NBA life is not really a guarantee for a long time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Man, yeah, I wish I had Kuminga on speed dial. Hey, listen, get the fuck out of there, bro. Let me be your agent. I will get you out of there. I will talk so much shit, but they let you go. They wouldn't want you there. That is bad business. I'm gonna put this out there again. I I am very upset Jimmy got hurt. You do not want to see that, especially ACL. At this time of his career, you do not want to see that. The Warriors the organization is in a terrible place right now.
And it's kind of crazy to hear that because this is the very same organization that said that they were so far ahead of everyone else. If the Warriors' former GM, Bob Myers, was still around, he would show KD more appreciation instead of making that joke about the Warriors being Steph's team during that championship parade. They've really been crawling back for the most part to get back into that same position that they were once in at the top of the Western Conference. Even Draymond Green had admitted out of his own mouth that the 2022 Warriors were not really a championship team. So throughout this season, we have seen small inklings coming from the Warriors themselves that this dynasty is basically over. Steve Kerr admitting that himself, the reach back to try to get Kevin Durant last season, and then he rejected. And also, this season, a lot of rumors surrounding sort of a reuniting of Klay Thompson.
The organization is in a terrible place right now. You look bad with this Kuminga situation. You put over $150 million into Jimmy Butler. Draymond Green's a free agent this year. And you got Stephen Curry and you're wasting greatness. The Warriors organization is so fucked right now. Yes. They have to move on. It is time to plan for the future.
I think, like Charlie said, what you do with Kuminga is for Kuminga, he has to really be careful with what he do right now.
Yeah, this is a very sensitive.
Yeah,
and it's a very telling moment for him
because they're looking. Every team is monitoring what's happening with him, and they really monitoring how he responds. So if he go out there and kills, his stock goes to the roof.
To the roof.
And I understand what you're saying, Theo.
But then he stays in a fucked up situation.
No.
Why would they get rid of him?
That's your agent's job now. It's your agent's job to do his job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm wondering if his agent knows something about Steve Kerr's final year in Golden State. There's a lot of rumors that he'll be making his exits after this season. So who knows? Kuminga might already found a home.
I'm going to do what I got to do. Stay professional. Go out here and kill. Make them look fucking silly.
I'm going to say the right thing.
Make them look silly. And then my agent's still going to get me the fuck up out of here. Yeah. You still got to do the right thing because you don't want to fuck up your future and your bread because he's so young. So I get what Charlie's saying.
If you play that game, my shit hurts, my back hurts.
They know you bullshitting.
They know you bullshitting.
How you hurt and you ain't been playing?
What's the message you're sending to the other team?
How you hurt and you ain't been playing?
29 other teams fucking looking. And, you know what I mean? So
my point of view,
this is the whole point of being
everyone knows I think these other teams know they are fucking with him at this point.
Can they trade Curry?
I think you do.
Absolutely not.
I would say more than likely he's staying. There's a lot to his brand more than just winning. And that Golden State Warrior portion of it is very important. The same way when you think of Kobe, you think of the Lakers.
I think this is the scariest thing that could have ever happened to the Warriors.
Yeah.
They're fucked, bro.
Oh, they totally.
They are fucked. There's
talking about
no doubt in my mind. The level of competitiveness that is in Stephen Curry, that he is sitting there like, oh, fuck. We lost Jimmy? What else are we going to be able to get?
With the way the NBA has structured this new CBA, nothing. Them days is over. Maybe there's a Allen Houston provision that'll allow you to waive Jimmy Butler, or you would have to take the same steps the Milwaukee Bucks did with Damian Lillard and just swallow paying $20 million for a couple extra seasons.
They're already stranglehold right now. So now you got to hurt Jimmy Butler that's making, how much Jimmy making?
He don't got a, Ant Spence, he don't got a ring chase. He got 4. It's just all about how he wants to end his career.
How does he want to go out? If Steph wants to go out and just be a Warrior for life, then he can ride it out.
Then he's good.
But if Stephen Curry's in prime position to maybe win perhaps another championship and gets that 5, it's going to be a tough conversation of why he won more rings than LeBron in the same era.
No matter what happens.
He has said himself he wants to win. Steph puts too much work into this game to just go out there and not have a chance to win a championship. This team has no chance to win a championship. I think to keep Steph happy, you have to play him. I don't want him to play at all, bro. But fuck, you gotta play him because you need him to be great.
Mm-hmm.
You need Jonathan Kuminga to be Jonathan Kuminga.
Bro, they've been fucking with him all year, fam.
They've been fucking with him his whole career. It's like they don't know how to properly utilize him within Steve Kerr's system. And to be honest, they should have known that by year 3 and moved on. The real question is, why haven't they moved on? Are politics with that stadium and just being able to sell tickets into the future are at play? Who knows?
I want him to go.
So it's like, what we doing, fam? Like, I get it.
This is the worst part about it. He has been there. He's played well. God, Lee, bro. Like, they act like nobody has had ups and downs in the season.
Has he been even sitting on the bench?
Yeah, he's been sitting on the bench.
He's been sitting on the bench?
Bro, they have said, Draymond has said multiple times that Kuminga has been great. Came in, got his work, been into the game on the sideline, has been over there pouting this shit, been encouraging teammates and all this other shit. I'm telling you, bro, this situation is, kind of hate to see it go out like this for the Warriors because they've been so great for so long. But I personally feel like that was a nail in the coffin. There's no recovery from here unless I think Steph says something in the offseason. There's definitely nothing happening now. But like there's a true conversation in the offseason of moving forward with Steph Curry. I said there's a conversation.
What you say?
I said there's a
like-
conversation.
Curry give me like Dirk vibes. He ain't going nowhere. Super loyal to the team.
Facts. He ain't going nowhere. His fallout with Under Armour is interesting because it goes to show you could have a multi-million-dollar company and just a player as relevant as Stephen Curry winning championships, revolutionizing the game, and it's still hard to build a brand within that. So Stephen Curry, it's going to be hard for him to just leave all that brand equity that he has as being known as a Warrior and just go somewhere else and be in a, let's just say, Charlotte Hornets jersey. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'm at, how old is Steph? 34, however old he is.
You think he has 4 or 5 more years of just playing?
Yeah, he's going to rock out. He'll rock out.
What if Dre leave?
Fuck it. He's still going to rock out. He's going to be the last soldier to rock out, bro. Yeah.
Guys, he got 2 or 3 more years.
2 or 3? Max.
It might be less than that because he got to do so much now.
Yep, this season, Stephen Curry is going to have to work overtime just for this team to even make the play-in. And the Warriors, as we stand right now, are just a few hundreds of thousands of dollars below the second apron. So right now they're into the first apron of the luxury tax. They have small limitations of what they could do, but if they do end up waiving Jimmy Butler, that will put them into the second apron, and they're going to be super limited on what type of free agents they could pick up, what kind of trades they can make. They're basically going to be handicapped, especially with Stephen Curry's salary still on the books. Matter of fact, let's just say Jimmy Butler never got hurt, and then Jonathan Kuminga was meshing well with the team, and they try to re-sign him. They're still going to go over the second apron. That's how tight this window is. Yeah, it's going to be tough. This overall NBA landscape, just the way they designed the league, you're going to have to let go of someone. And right now, it's looking like Draymond or Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, it's over.
If they don't get nobody else to come over there and play to help this man, you gotta let Steph Curry go.
They don't
somewhere else so he can play his last 2 years.
No.
That's another conundrum right there. They can't even trade Stephen Curry like that at his $62 million salary, especially with them already being into the first apron of the luxury tax. They're gonna have to trade salary for salary. Let's say a player like Karl Anthony Towns was making close to 60. Or hypothetically, it could be Stephen Curry for Giannis. That's just how the NBA is set up today. Not only is it hard to trade for a star, but it's hard to just even get rid of salary. Just look at the situations of Anthony Davis in Dallas, Trae Young in Atlanta, just the way the Hawks got rid of him as a salary dump, and also Ja Morant. Hell, you can even toss LaMelo Ball in this situation. Those type of contracts are not going to be easy to get rid of.
so he can play his last 2 years.
No, he's not.
Then who, bro?
Their
He's going to have to do
asset
so
was-
much.
Listen how fucked up they made this. Their asset that people would want if he was playing well was that man right there. So you're not playing him. You killed his stock. You can't even get nobody good for him.
Theo's cooking right here. Why hasn't Steve Kerr put Kuminga in a position where he could at least show his value, even if he's not a good fit? Just show his value so you could trade him away at the deadline. More than likely is because Steve Kerr does not know how to use a player like Kuminga. That same archetype is Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Shout out to the Olympics. It exposed a lot.
You did it to yourselves.
He ain't lying, Charlie. He ain't lying.
You did it to yourself. The one person that people are like, man, Jonathan Kuminga can really help us. Even if he put together a good, let's say he put together a good 2 weeks right now. Up to this point, Jimmy hurt himself. You could get something good for him, but you fucked him. No Diddy.
No Diddy.
No baby oil.
No baby oil.
Oh my God.
They did him dirty.
Raw diggity.
I'm going to go ahead and pause them on that. But yeah, definitely no Diddy. And for the Golden State Warriors, this is a brand new dynamic here that we're going to see a team that kind of has a high payroll begin to sort of pivot out and just ride off into the sunset, because the NBA is not really set up for a team like this to keep making different additions. They just got Jimmy Butler last season, and really he was the insurance policy of this team. If it doesn't work out, they're pretty much asked out, already being too into the luxury tax. So it's very interesting to see the generational divide among NBA fans when it comes to discussing some of their favorite stars from their era. From time to time, the topic of Tim Duncan versus Kobe Bryant, which one had the better career, that tends to get the algorithm going, and we're always seeing some sort of gap between the fan bases of what's actually been marketed to them versus the reality. So in this segment, we're first going to hear from the older side of the NBA fan base as Max Kellerman and Bill Simmons first discussed the differences between Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant and which one had the better career. Then we'll touch base with the more current day NBA players who grew up watching the more modern era of the NBA that we see today. Lemon Pepper Lou, aka Lou Williams, and Jason Tatum came to the defense of Kobe, as they do believe that because of the current day media landscape, there is an effort to tarnish Kobe's legacy. Now, when it comes to the debate of Tim Duncan versus Kobe Bryant, there's a lot of nuances that go into it. First of all, some of the NBA stars that are on the Mount Rushmore, there is a little bit of PR side to it. As the players who came up, I would say in the non-modern era, 1970s, 60s, etc., guys like Bill Russell, Kareem to a degree, Wilt Chamberlain, etc., even though they are all-time greats, at the end of the day, there is another side to it where they have to kind of collaborate on the media side to make sure that their image and just their overall brand is propagated to the masses in a certain way where it can continue carrying on as the years go by. And this is where players like Michael Jordan has a perfect mix of just having the greatness on the court and also the media carrying his legacy. Same thing for Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. But just dialing this right back in with the Tim Duncan versus Kobe Bryant debate, good old Timmy Boy does not have the PR side to his legacy to kind of uplift his greatness. In all 19 seasons of his NBA career, his team has never missed the playoffs. Also, out of his 19 seasons, 12 of them, his team not only has 55 wins, which is crazy enough, but also his career contributed to Greg Popovich being the all-time winningest coach. But again, this is very nuanced because Kobe Bryant throughout his whole career, whether it be the regular season or the playoffs, has a much higher win total going up against Tim Duncan and the Spurs. The NBA gets real tricky when it comes to the marketing side of the game. I'm always saying the league is 30% business, 10% basketball, and 60% marketing. But you guys check out what the fellas at The Ringer had to say, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Getting back to Steph Curry, Magic Johnson, and all that stuff, it reminds me, when your best player has a quality about them that makes the team feel like that guy, we have that guy, we can't lose, it does something to the team. And Steph, I don't think had that for a lot of his career. He's one of the greatest players ever, but I didn't get LeBron did. I got the feeling like with LeBron on the team, his
LeBron
team
did
believed, later. Right. After the Dallas loss, he started getting that thing. The team believed. Derek Jeter had it, even though there were other players better than him on the team. Kobe Bryant had it, no matter what people want to say, which is why I think it is also ridiculous when people say, oh, Kobe's like the 8th best player ever, the 10th best player ever, and kids from his generation lose their minds.
Once again, Kobe Bryant for his career going up against LeBron, and LeBron outshines him in every major statistical category, whether it be points, rebounds, assists, and offensive efficiency. The NBA marketing is strong, especially in my generation when it comes to Kobe Bryant.
That's not an unfair ranking, but why I would put him over Tim Duncan is because I think that it is close, I think, between those two, is that
it's outrageous.
Kobe's team believed if he had a shot to win,
You're just gonna do
Kobe's
the pod
team
by
believed
yourself.
that they would win.
I'm going to leave. The Tim Duncan slander.
You think it's slander to put Kobe ahead of
I
Duncan?
just think he's the most underappreciated superstar of all time.
Now that right there shows you that Tim Duncan, when it comes to the media side of his legacy and image, he does not have that down packed. That is part of the game of just playing this overall imaginary GOAT list. Michael Jordan, his performance on the court, and also having guys in the media upholding his image, that's the real recipe right there. And I believe LeBron James has shown in recent years, when you do have the media side on lock, just controlling your narrative, that continues to carry your greatness over time. It's very unfortunate the media landscape was not what it is today when Kareem was playing. He had quite a few clashes with media members, as most of them did not really understand who he was outside of basketball. And in the long run, it's really hurt him because his name should be mentioned a lot more when it comes to all-time GOATs. Just think about it like this. When LeBron James broke the all-time scoring record, all of a sudden, everyone cared about who was the number one guy when it came to that stat. But when Kareem had it, the narrative overall coming from all the fan bases wasn't being all-time leader in points makes you the GOAT. But once LeBron had it, it was like that stat was automatically elevated. And that's the power of the media, the power of persuasion.
I'm saying is it's Kobe and Duncan are neck and neck. I think that's not slander. I think they're neck and neck. Kobe's the closest thing we've seen to Jordan, right? Probably the close in any sport. Tell me an upper echelon all-time great.
I have Kobe like 10th or 11th all time.
Okay. I don't think that's unreasonable.
But
and
Duncan
I have him
has
like 8th
to
or
be
9th.
Duncan's 7th. And I don't think it's debatable.
You think it's not debatable?
I don't.
Duncan might have finished the top player of his position of all time. It's very hard to push back on that when you just look at the overall just accolades. Once again, out of his 19 seasons played in the league, his team finished above 55 regular season wins 12 times. So that in itself is already something said, and my man has never really missed the playoffs. 19 seasons played? Shit.
Duncan's 7th. And I don't think it's debatable.
You think it's not debatable?
I don't. I think
MJ, LeBron, Kareem, Russell,
MJ, LeBron,
Chamberlain,
Kareem, Russell, Bird, and Magic.
Oh, head of Chamberlain. Okay.
Chamberlain was a loser for most of his career, and I wrote a whole chapter in my book about this.
He didn't. I mean, you know,
he got traded multiple times.
The Celtics had every good player in the league.
See right there, once again, there's no media to come to these guys' defense. Bill Simmons is going to come to the rescue of the modern day players, guys like Magic and Larry Bird. That's why I said there's a science to this whole GOAT conversation. You have to not only have the accolades on the court, but the media side is going to have to be down packed too.
You know who's never getting traded ever? Tim Duncan.
Yeah, right. Okay, fine.
Ever.
Fine. I think I agree with what you're saying about Wilt. And they used to say, I never got to see Wilt play really, but I used to hear if you needed points, he'd give you assists. If you needed assists, he'd give you points. Okay, fine. You could put Bill Russell ahead of him, not have him 5. So I'd have Wilt 5. You have Bird and Magic right after that. Fine, whatever. So you think Duncan is right after Bird and Magic?
I do. And guess what? I think Jokic is coming. But yeah, I don't think it can only be with one title.
Agreed.
Because now we're in the titles. I don't love the ring culture, but it's really tough to put a one title guy in like the top 8 of all time.
Hey, that Jokic conversation is going to be real uncomfortable if he gets another title because his offensive numbers are just insane. If any other NBA player put up those type of numbers, that was, let's say, Anthony Edwards, a LeBron James, a Kobe, people would instantly be calling him a top 10 off rip. But again, when it comes to GOATs, they got to have that relationship with the media to propagate their image over time. Now, former teammate of Kobe Bryant, Lemon Pepper Lou, had came to Kobe's defense. And right here, we're going to see very keen generational differences on just the marketing side of the NBA is really undefeated. Look at Zion Williams. It's hard for a lot of NBA fans to shake off that overall #1 pick expectations from him, even though the reality has told us otherwise. Not only Jordan Brand has dropped his signature shoe after him signing the second highest contract as a rookie right after LeBron James, and when it comes to the basketball side, it's very difficult to build a team around him.
I think if you look up most of the rankings, I think most people have Tim Duncan ranked ahead of him. And again, it's all different. Like and our rankings will change based on, you know, the new age guys like Bill, Kareem, and Wilt that are going to be ranked up high on certain rankings. But when it comes down to Kobe and Tim Duncan, I think Tim Duncan is ranked ahead of him. And most people.
Anybody disagree? Agree. Oh, Lou's doing something over there. What are we doing?
We got to stop trying Kobe.
No, we're not trying Kobe. We're not. Are we not trying Tim Duncan?
No, hold on. Slow down, Chandler, before you jump on me.
Damn.
Notice how Lemon Pepper Lou avoided the factual details that Chandler Parsons just pointed out. He instantly went to an emotion. He even had no response when Parsons said, "Are we trying Tim Duncan?" Once again, the marketing side of the game is strong as fuck. These guys have it where when fans see a player for the very first time, the way he's marketed is really the perception that's going to stay alongside that player for his whole career. Make no mistake about it, for my generation, the way Kobe Bryant was marketed as an 18-year-old kid, being on all sorts of television shows, going to prom with a famous singer, that branding is very powerful for a generation. It's truly a tricky place. LeBron James, his record going up against Kobe is 16-6. That does not diminish Kobe at all, but it points out a different reality. That's all it is.
We got to stop trying Kobe.
No, we're not trying Kobe. We're not. Are we not trying Tim Duncan?
No, hold on. Slow down, Chandler, before you jump on me.
Damn.
It's too many conversations around Kobe's legacy these days for my liking. Like, we know who Kobe Bryant was, and this has nothing to do with Tim Duncan. I'm going on a soapbox.
Oh, here we go.
It has nothing to do with Tim Duncan. We got to stop trying Kobe's legacy, comparing him to this person, comparing him to that person. When that man was alive and well, none of this was a conversation. His legacy wasn't confused. Who he was, his iconic status, his star status, none of those things were questioned or confused. It was either he was one, he was either two, he was either three.
And that is false. Unfortunately, the conversation kind of jumped over him in a way because LeBron was still playing, and everyone remembers Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. Their GOAT debates on First Take didn't necessarily involve him. It was LeBron and MJ. Same thing from when Skip ended up doing a show with Shannon Sharp. And a lot of the Kobe fan base felt a way about it. Some of that animosity showed up when LeBron had went to LA with his mural getting defaced. Even Kobe Bryant, the first few years after he retired, he made a social media post saying that we need to bring the conversation back to the rings.
It wasn't about Tracy McGrady. It wasn't about Tim Duncan. It wasn't about any of these people. So now all of a sudden that door is open because there's nobody to defend him but his fans and us. So I'm going to step up and say, let's stop this with Kobe. Leave him alone. Leave it alone. Allow him to.
Wait, so he's better than Tim Duncan?
I think so.
Well, there it is.
What conversation have we had? What conversation have we had that Kobe Bryant hasn't? It hasn't been LeBron, Michael Jordan.
Well, you know what?
Kobe
You know
Bryant.
why the defense of that is? Because nobody ever gives Tim Duncan the proper amount of respect.
That's a
when we have
different
these
conversation. We can give Tim Duncan all the respect and love in the world without bringing Kobe Bryant into that conversation.
But if we're doing a list of the best of all time, then we have
And
to.
Kobe Bryant, on 99.8% of all of those lists, Kobe Bryant is in the top 3 of all of them.
And there's no facts to even say that. That's the unfortunate part. That's all marketing. That's all marketing. There's no facts to even say that. Once again, for you fellas that are watching the visual version, I'll put up a chart with Michael Jordan's career stats and Kobe Bryant's. And there's not really too much to say that they were ever on the same level. That NBA marketing machine is a beast, boy.
Point is
I
that those
disagree with
lists
you.
are
I disagree.
wrong.
If you look
because
at the
of
rankings of the
disrespect.
NBA players, he's not top 3 of most of the
Who's
rankings.
rankings?
Just Google top 3.
I don't want to Google it. We, for a fact, 3 basketball players sitting up here. Which one of us is not going to have
Thank
Kobe
you.
Bryant in our top 3?
Me.
That's it.
Me.
Top 3.
Top 3?
So you're
And
in
I
that
love
point-
him.
So you're in that point 2 I just talked about.
I
There you
think
go.
your numbers are wrong. I think your numbers are way off here. I think if
I'm
you
not
look at
doing that.
rankings.
I don't have to
15
have numbers.
seconds. Tim Duncan, Kobe. Who's higher?
Oh, y'all done arguing? I wanted y'all to keep going.
You know what? We'll carry this.
Tim
to
Duncan or
tomorrow.
Kobe?
We'll be back tomorrow.
Tim Duncan or Kobe?
Now you notice right there, DeMarcus Cousins refused to answer the question. Let's listen to that one more time, because even he knows what it is.
One of us is not going to have
Thank
Kobe
you.
Bryant in our top 3.
Me.
That's it.
Me.
Top 3.
Top 3?
So you're
And
in
I
that
love
point-
him.
So you're in that point 2 I just talked about.
I
There you
think
go.
your numbers are wrong. I think your numbers are way off here. I think if
I'm
you
not
look at
doing that.
rankings.
I don't have to
15
have numbers.
seconds. Tim Duncan, Kobe. Who's higher?
Oh, y'all done arguing? I wanted y'all to keep going.
You know what? We'll carry this. to
Tim
tomorrow.
Duncan or Kobe?
We'll be back tomorrow.
Tim Duncan or Kobe?
That top 3 is going to be a tough call when you have to pull up the receipts to back it up. But right here, the current star of the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, he sat down with Ryan Clark, and they were both kind of perplexed by the fact that Kobe's legacy was kind of being tarnished in their eyes. And once again, he is part of that generation where Kobe Bryant was marketed a certain way on his come up.
Kobe Bryant's my favorite basketball player of all time, right? I know you had a relationship. I think it may be like a few weeks ago, a month ago, Lou Will ended up saying like about people who kind of like are starting to try to knock who Kobe Bryant was as a player. He was saying how much foolishness that is based on who he was when he played and the way people felt about him. How do you kind of see the way storytelling has seemed to shift on Kobe into saying he wasn't all the things we believed him to be when he was on one of the most prolific scoring runs we'd ever seen from a hoop?
Yeah, I think it's like cowardly, to be honest, like because they didn't speak about him like this when he was here.
What's up with that? These guys completely forgot. They were having GOAT conversations as soon as he retired, but they sort of skipped over him, and it was nothing but LeBron versus Jordan on First Take and Undisputed. That marketing is truly powerful because all of a sudden, it just creates like a memory fog in all the minds of the Kobe Bryant stans.
Because they didn't speak about him like this when he was here. And, you know, I think now it being this new age, like everything is so like analytics and shot profile and efficiency, which matters 100%. But in AI, I'm a huge AI fan, one of my favorite players. The year AI won an MVP, he shot 29 shots a game.
Yeah.
Like he was shooting that shit every single time.
And that's a flaw with judging players from the past. They were not as aware of their statistical numbers as players of today. Not only that, but also the game was completely different, more physical. Kobe Bryant and Allen Iverson played in the most slow-paced 79 to 63 final score era of the NBA ever.
But we all admire his competitiveness, how tough he was, how he got it done, how he was 6'1" and was the most fierce competitor in the world. But now that Kobe isn't here, we want to bring up the times where he wasn't as efficient, or he shot long twos, and now where we shoot, we try to get away from those and we want to shoot more threes.
Once again, right here, I'm gonna have to have a little bit of pushback. I don't think Kobe Bryant gets flack for those things. Just overall, his impact on the game, it wasn't necessarily on the level of a top 5 all-time player.
And it's like, if you ask anybody that played against him, they all say he was the best player in the league. He was the most terrifying person to guard, and he's one of the 3 most influential basketball players of all time. Like everybody loved, revered, respected, even from different sports, admired who he was.
Marketing. That's the side that Tim Duncan and other greats are missing. For the most part, none of the NBA fan bases really used being an all-time leading scorer in NBA history as a measure of being the GOAT until LeBron broke that record. The media side of the game is putting Kobe Bryant fans in a tricky spot. And their first inclination was when he first retired, and they quickly spoke over him and just made all the GOAT debates about LeBron James or Michael Jordan. And the media even doing that was false. That should have never been a debate to begin with. Not only LeBron James is still playing, you got guys out there like Magic Johnson who only played 13 seasons but yet made the finals 9 times with 5 rings. But you do have players like that sitting out there really being unclaimed in the conversation. Also, Magic Johnson, right before being forced into retirement, his last 4 seasons, he won the regular season MVP 3 times. So guys like that are sitting out there outside of this whole GOAT conversation.
Now that he's not here, you want to try to erase history. And I honestly kind of take it personal because I grew up in St. Louis, which, I don't know, 3,000 miles away from LA. He is the reason why I woke up at 5:30 in the morning, why I chased my dream, because I saw how hard he worked. I watched all his interviews. I watched his mannerisms, how he played on the court, how he handled adversity, how he handled winning.
And Jason Tatum got to see all that because of the media landscape and where it was at. You could say the players like Shaq or even Kobe himself said that they didn't get to see their favorite stars as often growing up due to the whole distribution of television games. The NBA wasn't widely available unless the team played in your home state. Once again, a lot of the things that Jason Tatum just stated, a lot of it's access due to technology and also marketing. That shit is truly powerful because you're not even supposed to know that you've been marketed to.
He was my inspiration and my idol. So somebody that was 3,000 miles away from me inspired me to be who I am. When I see people, discredit him or, kind of talk out the side of their neck, I do kind of take it personal because it's like, that dude meant everything to me. And this energy wasn't the same when he was here.
I asked them, dog. I remember, so when Kobe passed, I was training DBs for the combine. So I was in the airport. The news come across, and so me and my son, loved Kobe. So I hit him, and he was like, hell no, Pop. And so I'm on the plane, bro. I was on Southwest. I'll never forget it. I said the exit row. I'm leaning on the wall and crying like I knew him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you could see the lady next to me he tripping. But when I hear that too, how people try to erase or have revisionist history in some people on things that they've said before. They're changing midstream stuff that they said years ago, So
all they gotta do is pop in the Redeem team and hear all of the pros, the greatest players, talk about how Kobe approached the game and what he did.
How he changed them.
And how he turned that around. What everybody else say.
I remember I was
guys validating it.
I was in New Orleans when I found out.
Really?
We played the Pelicans that day, and I remember I was in Popeyes on fucking Canal Street, right by the
I know exactly where you were. That's the best Popeyes, bro.
The best. I remember sitting in there and it just came across the news, and I remember it was weird because I felt like, when you're younger, you feel like your idols is invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that just kind of hit me damn, I thought he was invincible. I thought nothing ever bad could happen to him.
A lot of us thought that. I was shocked myself because I'm part of that generation where Kobe Bryant was marketed a certain way and he was almost like God. I mean, I never really said this before to anyone, but when I heard he died, I got that phone call from my cousin, and then I looked on my phone and just saw an alert from CNN, which I never remember even signing up for. I lost my balance. I couldn't even stand up. I was so shocked. It's kind of crazy when I think about it because I remember the first time I heard about Kobe Bryant as a kid, and I remember the exact moment when I first heard that he died. It's tough, boy.
I remember I went to my room, I broke down crying.
Yeah, it's so routine. We take a lot of that for granted a lot of times.
Did y'all have, on that day, since y'all was hooping, did y'all have real conversations about it when he passed, when y'all found out?
I remember we played the Pelicans that night. I remember I was in a growing injury, so I missed a week. And I remember I just sat in the back Like, it was a real, like, sad, like, somber day. Like, the game ain't really matter, and nobody was really speaking. Like, you could tell. Everybody just, like, felt heavy.
It is what it is. This is truly tough, but the marketing side of the game, I would say the player outside of Michael Jordan who actually had it the best was Kobe Bryant. Just the overall aura of him has left a lasting impression on everyone, even though most of us don't even personally know him. We as the viewing audience found out that he was a romantic guy through his wife at the memorial. The NBA marketing machine is truly powerful. So LeBron James and Tyrese Haliburton had a nice sit down where they spoke about that 65-game rule, where in a very unique way, the owners have crafted it to affect players' contracts. And LeBron also alluded to the fact that today's game is harder to play all 82 versus the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s. Keep in mind, Tyrese Haliburton in 2024 was up for an extension, but he did have an injury, and he further made himself available, risking further damage to his body in order to be eligible for that Supermax contract. So he was put at risk because of this rule. And the NBA behind the scenes is a tricky business because there's a lot of verbiage, there's a lot of marketing put into ways new rules like this are implemented, as it being a team rule could only be voted by the owners. So the NBA Players Union had no say-so on it. Again, these billionaire owners with teams of lawyers, they did not like that player movement from the, I would say, mid-2010s on. And now not only they found a way to make sure that the players are participating in these nationally televised games, they also found a way to not have them qualify for Supermax. But first, before we hear from Tyrese Haliburton and LeBron James on the subject, listen to Adam Silver and the way he framed how they came to the conclusion of the 65-game rule. I'm always saying the NBA is 60% marketing, 30% business, and 10% basketball.
I understand why the rule is in place. Is it time to separate the Supermax from the awards?
My answer is I'm not sure. Tim, as you know, a lot of thought went into the 65-game demarcation. Not only was it collectively bargained with the players, but we spent extensive time leading up to collective bargaining, talking to all the various constituencies in the league, most importantly, the coaches, the general managers, individual players directly.
Now, Adam Silver right there, his statement was very carefully crafted. A 65-game demarcation instead of just saying rule. So a 65-game limit or just threshold. And the biggest part of the statement, the dundada of it all, is saying that not only this was collectively bargained with the players, which it wasn't, because this rule is a team rule which only NBA owners could vote on. You fellas definitely go ahead and do your research on that. That is 100% fact. They did not need the players' union in order to implement this rule, which ends up affecting players being eligible for certain Supermax contracts. This is where the All-NBA selections come in. If guys are not getting on these All-NBA teams, they are not eligible for that Supermax. And in order to get on those All-NBA teams, you have to play more than 65 games. This whole situation right here shows you how weak the NBA Players Union really is. And again, I got to dial this all back in. The NBA is 60% marketing, 30% business, 10% basketball. We're going to hear Adam Silver's response one more time.
I understand why the rule is in place. Is it time to separate the Supermax from the awards?
My answer is I'm not sure. Tim, as you know, a lot of thought went into the 65-game demarcation. Not only was it collectively bargained with the players, but we spent extensive time leading up to collective bargaining, talking to all the various constituencies in the league, most importantly, the coaches, the general managers, individual players directly.
Yo, Adam Silver is really good at this because there's a third monkey wrench that he tossed in there. And he loves to do this because he did the same thing for the Steve Ballmer situation. Oh, I spoke to this person, included this, and the NBA has included a third-party company to investigate, and they're going to just go by the decisions of that third party instead of the NBA or Silver himself taking any implications from, you know, sort of a light penalty given to Steve Ballmer. And it's the same thing here. He stated that when it came to the 65-game rule, they spoke to GM, coaches, and player personnel, even though that rule is implemented only by the owners. It doesn't fucking matter who the hell they speak to. If you're not an NBA owner, you can't vote on the rule. The NBA marketing machine is like no other.
Not only was it collectively bargained with the players, but we spent extensive time leading up to collective bargaining, talking to all the various constituencies in the league, most importantly the coaches, the general managers, individual players directly. And as you was built into your question, the notion was we needed to further incentivize players, particularly star players, to play more games. So I'm not ready to say that it isn't working so far. I can tell you that the number of games that players have participated in is up this season, and interestingly enough, injuries are actually down. Whether that's meaningful data yet, I don't know. I think the right time to take a further look at this rule is at the end of the season, when we see sort of at least have a year under our belt.
All right, so now we're going to hear from one of the players alongside LeBron James that was mainly affected by this 65-game rule. He was put in a position where he had to risk further injury to his body in order to be eligible for that Supermax contract. This is the beautiful thing about today's NBA landscape. You can hear the stories from the players directly themselves. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Sometimes if guys are not able to play, the guys are literally not able to play. It's not like we're like shitting on, you know, national televised games or, you know, whatever the case may be. But I mean, I'm looking at this list right now. We got one of our biggest names, Nikola Jokic. You know, we got Giannis, we got Wembanyama. You know, we got, you know, Steph that missed games, Kawhi that missed games, Sangoon, obviously AR, my teammate. You know, Jalen Williams is out again. J-Dub is out again. You know, how do you think that's going to like impact, you know, going into, you know, the future? You know, you got guys going to miss all NBA nods because of that. When you can't tell me that Jokic is not all NBA. Now, all of a sudden, because he's missed, you know, 30 games, you can't tell me he's not, you know, first team all NBA. This guy's averaging 29, 13, and 14 or some shit like that. So like, how long do we go with this, and how is it going to affect, you know, not only today's conversation, but also like individual guys' legacies? Like, you know, it's a topic of conversation.
Yeah,
I
think that's the biggest thing, bro, is the legacy talk. I think that's the most important. And I think when this was first implemented, I get the idea. We want more guys to play. And I was known as one of the first guys to say I hated it because the year the 65-game rule was implemented was my contract year. I had to play 65 games to make All-NBA to be eligible for the Supermax. And I said that I didn't like it at the time, and I still feel that way. I
definitely don't like it.
Yeah, I've talked with Commissioner Silver, and like we talked about how like from a financial standpoint, it can only hurt so many people in that year. Guys who are like me at that time. It was me, Ant, and LaMelo at that time that were trying to get that Supermax.
You know, right there, it's kind of funny that they never mentioned their union reps. That's really who they should take it up with, especially after Adam Silver made those comments saying that they spoke with various players, personnel, and coaches. Again, there's a lot of word salad going on when it comes to this rule. At the end of the day, the owners were the only ones that could vote on it. What fucking loophole allowed them to do that when that rule is tied to players' contracts? I don't know. That's what the players are going to have to find out.
It was me, Ant, and LaMelo at that time that were trying to get that Supermax. But I think that's the biggest point is legacy talk, because what I think about is in 20, 30 years when I'm not playing and I'm hearing my kids argue about they want to compare eras or something, and they're going over the list of accolades, and they're telling me right now that, you know, this guy might have only made All-NBA so many times, but he was ineligible, and they don't know that, and that could skew it in that way, which I don't necessarily appreciate in any way. But I think it's something that will be adjusted. I think a big reason for that is Wemby. I think for him to not be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, when there's a very good chance that he could win multiple over the course of his career. If
There's no question.
knock on wood, I hope that, his injury, future is not consistent with what it's been, but, it's not under his control at all times, not under us as players, our control. So I feel like to take that away from him or other guys because of health, I feel like is incorrect. Because I feel like we're saying, NBA players, we want to play. We don't want to sit down. We want to play. So I feel like there has to be a conversation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you said it best. I can't even say it any better than what you just said, Reese. And we just, it's just weird. It will be so weird to see the all NBA teams come out, first team, second team, third team, and Jokic is not on there, or Giannis is not on there, or if my teammate, if Luka happened to miss some time and he's not able to be eligible because he didn't play 65 games to make all NBA, or, like you said, even more important, we're not just talking about legacies for guys of conversation, but also legacies for their families. Like, if you have an opportunity to be in a contract year where you can get the Supermax, or you can get you're eligible for an extra year, and you're playing exceptional basketball, you having a career year, and you play 64 games, that could be like catastrophic.
This rule is very clever because you could look at the situation that happened with Jalen Williams out in OKC, the fact that he's dealing with injuries this season and he's not going to make an All-NBA team. That ended up being a lifesaver for the Oklahoma City Thunder because they saved $210 million on that luxury tax bill. The way the contracts now work for J-Dub, instead of being eligible for 30% of the cap, he's locked into only 25%. So he lost out in earning over $50 million, while the franchise saves $210 million of luxury tax. This example right here is a full three-dimensional scope of how the owners have slowly finessed the players' union. The TV revenue has gone up, but at the same time, there's a lot of rules in place to not necessarily pay guys. It's not just the Supermax players. We're seeing the mid-tier B stars like Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, even Norman Powell out in Miami. All these guys have struggled, even though having career years of getting paid hovering around $35 million plus. The NBA players are not only in new territory, they better holler at that union and make sure they're doing their job.
Like, it'd be something that you'd be so pissed off about, at some point, like you said, it'd be a conversation that'd be brought up again, and hopefully we can kind of figure it out and get to a better place about it, because the game is different. Like, I want people to understand, and our fans to understand, that playing 82 games in the 80s and 90s is not the same as playing 82 games in the 2020s. It's just not. The way we play, the level of pace, the level of the speed that we're playing at, it's a different game now. It's a totally different game. And, it's a lot of soft tissue injuries that's happened now because of it. I hope we can get a handle on that as well, because that's big in our game. I think when I first came into to the league, Reese, like, some of the biggest concerns of injuries was like, a high ankle sprain. You was afraid to step on somebody's ankle because there was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint.
Yeah, the game definitely has changed. Those brute players that used to be on the floor just for strength and athleticism on the defensive end, those guys are out of here. If they can't shoot, they can't get any burn. In a way, today's NBA game is almost like, I don't want to say soccer, but the way you train your body might be similar due to all the running and just the pace just being so high. The core and the legs are going to have to be more emphasized.
So, guys with athleticism, myself, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, to name a couple guys, sometimes you're afraid to take off into the lane because it was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. And if you land on somebody's ankle, you get a high ankle sprain, you out 4 to 6 weeks.
Now you could take off in the paint and there'll probably be no one even there to touch you. Unless you're playing against the Houston Rockets, they're like the only team that's a fucking relic out there. They're playing with 2 bigs. But it's working. There's a method to the madness by Ime Udoka.
Now that's not really much of you don't really see that as much now because the game is so spread open, it's so much pace. But now you see the new high ankle sprain is the calf.
Right.
So hopefully we could get a handle on that from a medical standpoint. But it's just the game. I just want the fans to understand that the game is a little different. And, as NBA players, we definitely want to be out there as much as possible.
So it is what it is. The league is definitely different. The owners have found a way to sort of position the players to fight and try to earn the money that they technically already qualify for based off their numbers and skill sets. It's almost as if the players now are set up to be paid according to a tier system, especially if they fall out of the top 10 or just even top 5 players in the league. That right there is really the gray area. But this was good, getting a full 3-dimensional scope right here on just some of the back-end politics of the league. There's definitely a lot of nuances. But you guys hit up the links in the description below. Check out my NBA True Story playlist. And until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.